In 2011, the Knowledge and Learning team was asked to conduct a meta-evaluation. In this video, you'll learn what a meta-evaluation is, what the guiding questions of our meta-evaluation are, which steps we followed, and what types of evaluation we're looking at. In other words, what kinds of evaluation were conducted between 2009 and 2011. Neither Helvetis nor Intercooperation had done a meta-evaluation before. It was the first time that a meta-evaluation exercise was commissioned within Helvetis Swiss Intercooperation. Consequently, it took a little while to explore what a meta-evaluation is and what exactly we want to get out of it.
According to the Development Assistance Committee of the OECD, a meta-evaluation is a higher form of evaluation which is designed to aggregate findings from a series of evaluations. It can also be used to denote the evaluation of an evaluation, to judge its quality and/or assess the performance of the evaluators. Based on this definition, we decided that the meta-evaluation should also include the two components aggregation and quality. This meant that first we would aggregate the thematic findings within each of our working areas. In other words, we would examine evaluation reports from one working area, for example water and infrastructure, and identify recurrent findings within that working area. Then we would do the same for the other working areas. Second, we would aggregate the thematic findings across the working areas in order to come up with recurrent findings. Regarding the quality of the evaluations, which is the second defining component of a meta-evaluation according to the OECD DAC, we decided to assess this in terms of how conducive to learning evaluations were. We hope that this would indicate to what extent we have collectively learned from evaluations and help us design improved ways of learning as an organization.
In a nutshell, we went from the broader overall objective of wanting to learn from our past evaluations by identifying recurrent findings to the following more specific questions. What are the key thematic recurrent findings, conclusions and recommendations that have come out of evaluations of Helvetis and Intercooperation projects over the past 3 years? We also wanted to know, considering procedural and methodological aspects, what are the existing learning and follow-up mechanisms and how should they be enhanced to improve organizational learning? Once the key questions were clear, we identified the steps to answer the key questions.
Collect evaluations between 2009 and 2011. Examine their characteristics, for example by working area, region, type of evaluation, whether they were conducted internally or by external consultants, etc. Analyze the sample to identify thematic and methodological recurrent findings. Conduct selected interviews. Conduct a joint reflection on first findings using the internet and face-to-face opportunities. Summarize findings in a report. Further joint reflection on next steps.
With the stage set for a participatory meta-evaluation process, we got underway. First, we compiled a list of the evaluations conducted between 2009 and 2011. The list was shared on the intranet so that the program coordinators, country program directors and thematic staff could help complete it. The result? In the years 2009, 2010 and 2011, an impressive 60+ evaluations were conducted of Helvetis and Intercooperation projects and programs. But before we defined and examined a sample of those evaluations in more detail, we wanted to get an overview of all the evaluations, and we found out the following.
2/3 of the evaluations conducted and collected were of projects implemented by Helvetis. With 36%, rural economy is the working area where most evaluations were conducted. Rural economy was followed by governance and peace and water and infrastructure, which each make up about 16% of the evaluations conducted between 2009 and 2011. Next in line were the strategic controlling missions and two after-departure visits under the category Other. The geographic distribution of evaluations is rather evenly spread, with most evaluations conducted in East Africa, the Himalayas, the Mekong, and South American Haiti, followed closely by West Africa. About 70% of our evaluations were conducted by external evaluators. Regarding the evaluation moment, or the time when the evaluations were conducted, 40% of the evaluations were commissioned at the end of a phase, 30% of the evaluations were midterm reviews, and 20% were ongoing. In other words, either part of strategic controlling missions or impact assessments.
As mentioned before, due to the large number of evaluations conducted in the period 2009 to 2011, only a representative sample of those evaluations was analysed in more detail. The sample was drawn based on the following criteria: geographic, at least one project per region; working area, that is, covering at least one project per working area of Helvetia Swiss intercooperation, excluding the knowledge and learning area; a similar number of former intercooperation and Helvetia's projects and programs; and finally, the evaluation type or moment that the evaluation took place. For example, midterm reviews versus end of phase versus impact assessments, etc. So this is where our story ends at the moment, but it will continue, and another video will come out shortly to elaborate on how the process is unfolding.